Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Tuesday afternoon, May 2nd. And we are looking at Window Traders market profile of the ES and SPY. So the market got a little frisky early today. Today was generally the first time you can say that gap and go worked. Out of how many gaps have we had this year? 40 gaps. 40 gaps is the first gap and go that worked. So they'll be crowing on Twitter about that. We do hold the gap today. That's the third downside gap we've held out of 17 this year. So 17.7% of those. We do hold the trend day down. We've held 28.6% of trend days to the downside. Just like we didn't see the opening for 3 days in a row until late yesterday. Well, today we didn't see the opening right after the opening. Didn't even get the 20 wide POC in ES or the 14 wide POC in SPY that's up there. So, I told the room prior to the open, I said, look, downside gaps have not held. Well, gaps haven't held in general. I said, but you never know. We got to respect what they want to do. I said, if we go and take out the overnight low right away, something could be different there. And we opened, and we basically did take out the overnight low pretty quick. So they had value, they had gap, and they had the overnight low pretty quick. We talked about getting into consolidation. Well, we certainly did that. It's a 4-day balance. Thursday's low is the low of it. Yesterday's high is the top of it. We'll see what happens and what transpires with the Fed. NQ did not gap lower, but they didn't. They certainly came into balance on the daily. They go out with a trend day. Righty did gap lower like us, held the gap. They go out with a trend day. And ES and SPY gap lower, hold the gap, and go out with a trend day. There's a large set of single prints. They're over $2. We had 2 sets. They took back 1, but this one held. Had a really good day. We saw it really nice. Took 33.5 points out of today, mostly in 2 time frames, and that's B and I. So B, it was on the short side. I took 8.5 points out of it. I took 1 long on the day. The first time we pulled back to 41.50, and I made 2 points on it. After that, I'm like, I'm not getting away with this. So 8.5 points in B on a short. Made money on a short in C. D. So B, I didn't do anything in A. So B, C, and D, all shorts except that 1 long. Then I didn't do anything till H. I'm like, well, I'm going to start looking for an afternoon rally high. I was like, maybe they take back the first set of single prints. I made 2 points in H on 1 trade. Then I started it again and I added. And I walked the room totally through what I was doing. I could have had a better trade on that. I made just under 15 points. I shorted at 26, a small lot. I added at 34. I added at 36. And I added at, when did I add? 40.75. I added the biggest lot, which was the high in I period. And then as it rolled over, I peeled them back. I had 21 points in my hand. I was still short the one at 26. I'm like, I think it's going to get back there, but it went back up to like 32 or so. I took it off, so I gave back some. If I had held it, next time frame, look what we did. We got a tick below 26, 25.75, which I'm actually going to use as a pullback just for a reference. So I had that nailed beautifully today, and that was it. I didn't do anything after that. They really just bounced around in KL and M. Right now we're right around the 20-day moving average. We got above it, below it. The 20-day moving average isn't that big a factor to me for one day. What's going to be more important to me is the rest of this week with the Fed, Apple earnings, and non-farm payroll. Where we close Friday should help us determine if that was an absolute failure at our monthly balance high, or this is just a healthy consolidation and we're going back up. As far as destinations today, we have our single prints of 411.59 get filled at 413.65, so they're a little over $2. Then we have today's high of 414.83 and filling the gap at 415.27. And in between that, we were actually 14 wide overnight SPY, 415.02. I'll carry it forward. The downside is 409.79 J low, 407.82 today's low, 406.74 daily low, and 403.78 monthly low. And boy, is that important. And we'll talk about that when we look at the chart. For ES, the upside, single prints, 44.25 to 65. 20 wide overnight POC, 79. 77.25 daily low, filling the gap at 82.25. For the downside, we have today's pullback in J of 25.75, 05.50 today's low, and then 97.25 daily low. Now let's go to the chart real quick and see what happened here. Now remember, we said last month's range was the smallest range in 3 years and 4 months. 40 months. That's saying something. Well, we already took out last month's high on the first day of May. On the second day of May, we came in pretty good, down to 407.82. We're only $4 away from last month's low. So between the Fed and everything else, by the end of the first week of this month, we could have everything on the table possibly with an outside month down or outside month up for a full month. It could get very interesting. But for now, still just firmly either a 4-month balance including this month or 7 including this. Weekly. Now the weekly to me is still up. Yes, we came firmly back into this previous balance, but we did take out last week's high. Unless we take out last week's low, which is last month's low, the weekly would still be up for me. And the daily clearly has come into a 4-day balance. Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday. We closed right at about 20, 30 cents below the 20. So again, we'll see what happens tomorrow prior to 2 o'clock. Do we take back the trend day? Do we fill the gap? Do we try to take out Thursday's low and come out of balance to the downside? All this will be on the table, obviously. So, again, it's not a big gap. The gap is only 30-somewhat cents. In fact, did I tell you? Oh, yeah, I gave you that film, the gap, right? I think I did. 415.27. Yeah, so not a big gap, so we'll see what transpires tomorrow. Now, the volume is 101 million. We'd have to do another about 11 million in the after hours to crack the top 10 in volume for the year. Not sure if we're going to get that tonight. Thanks for the likes and subscribing to this channel. Hope you had a good day trading. Enjoy your evening, and we'll speak prior to the opening tomorrow.